Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Huge milestone. We passed that 7,000 subscriber mark, so I just want to say thank you to everyone who has made that possible. I appreciate you guys. I see you guys in the comments and the likes, and I just can't say anything but thank you. So what that has done now is unlocked the giveaway that I have planned for 7,000. And that, if you remember, that includes the Monkey Fabrication T6 billet merge dual 2.5-inch inlets with titanium studs nuts. I'm also throwing in a Raceworks garage, a Race Status garage hat, a Race Status garage steering wheel button. I'll show you. I got one of these. I'm gonna throw in. Now, mind you, they don't fit every single steering wheel correctly. You might have to do a little filing on the edges. And you know, maybe I find something else to throw in with it or not. Maybe a stick or two. I gotta see if I have any left over. We'll see. So stay tuned on what we're gonna do there. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do that yet. How I'm gonna pick a winner. It might be a video all on its own, and I'll do it out of everybody that comments. So make sure to watch out for that, because I don't want to pick a subscriber that's not active. You know what I'm saying? If, you know, someone just saw like my Husky Toolbox video a year and a half ago and just hit subscribe and doesn't care less about cars and stuff like that. I just don't think that person. I want someone who's actively engaged in the channel, shows interest, watches, likes, you know, does all that stuff. So make sure you watch that video, and it's going to be something. Tell me about your car. I like to hear what people are doing in their house. No offense, I don't care if you sent your car to a shop and paid a shop to do it. That's not what my channel's about. My channel's about showing you in your house, garage, basement with basic hand tools how you can build an 8-second reliable street car. I think it's going to be something along those lines. So stay tuned for that. Also, I have a long-awaited Jeep TJ update. Sorry about that. I had to change my sweatshirt. It was a little too hot in my Carhartt. But like I was saying, I got a Jeep TJ update, and if any of you guys remember way back, if not, you're new, but new. I think I did the last update was like a year ago, and that's how long we've been waiting on parts. It's an LS swapped Wrangler that my stepdad's putting together, off-roading rig with, like, I don't know, freaking 40-inch tires or some nonsense. It's way out of my ballpark. I mean, the transfer case weighs more than my engine. Stick shifted LC9 with BTR cam in it, and, you know, a Tremec manual transmission, some Billy Badass transfer case. I mean, the goddamn top of the strut's like here on me. You'll see that in the video, a quick update about what's going on with that. That'll be coming out after this, probably next week. I'll get this out this week. And today, we are going to start the fan cooling. Oh, I got this big old derale unit in. Is that the part number? Yep, there's the part number. You know, I really wanted to go with the Delta Pag setup, but it's just, it's a really nice setup, and maybe one day I'll get there, but it's 3 times as much as that derale. It's a little more cooling. I want to say it's like 1,000 CFM more, but I don't know if 2,000. This is 4,000 CFM across a 26 by 18 shroud. I had something very similar, if you remember back to my rear mount setup. It was a little bit smaller, but it was the same fans, and I never had a problem until I went over 80 miles an hour on the highway. And the only reason I think I ended up having a cooling problem then is I lose all airflow at that speed, I think. That was my guess. I have zero data to prove it, but if I were to back the car down to 7,500, you'd watch the temperature just plummet back down into the 190s from like the 220s. It would just come right back down. You go back up to 80, it'd climb temp, trust 75, and you could cruise for hours at 75 miles an hour with zero issue. So I think it was an airflow issue being pushed out by the front bumper. You know, there's no airflow up under the back of the car. This is more CFM than last year's fan. It's two fans instead of one, and we have a bigger radiator this year as well. I don't foresee ever having a problem. Plus, I don't have a hot 6-inch thick intercooler. Granted, there's no airflow through my front bumper. I have the air dam, remember, but I think it'll be able to, the air dam underneath will be able to blast more air up into the radiator, and the amount of, you know, that thing's a heat sink. The problem with the air-to-air was I'd get to 120, 130 degree temps, intake temps, 150, 160, 170, and it's just a giant heat sink that had nowhere to go because of the closed bumper. And it was closed in by the back of the radiator. So I think that's what would raise coolant temps. Obviously, you see, I drove the car forever, and it was never a major problem. But I'd rather cruise at 190, 180s, 190s instead of 210s. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're trying to combat with the bigger radiator, the bigger fans, the water pump, the bigger electric water pump, and go from there. So we need to get this radiator out of the car. We need to get it onto the cart so I can take that out of the box and see what we're working with. So the one thing I'm worried about here is the big old electric pump on here. As you can see, partially blocks the core. And I have a feeling that it's gonna interrupt the fan shroud from going on. This is their aluminum one, right? With dual spall fans in it. It's kind of meaty. Well, you know, as I assume, it hits it. A half a pound for hardware. That's excessive. Weld them to the shroud and then bolt them to the radiator. You know, just do 2 and 2, and same thing on top. You know, and I'll cut the brackets down so they're even. Ooh, even better. I might be able to. That'd be sweet if I can get away with that. Probably not. I'm going to be that lucky. Of course. I could just drill new holes, but it might look stupid if I drill. Well, I'm going to weld this, so it won't be an issue. And then I could just literally trim this thing right on this line. 2 little holes. Boom. Yeah. Yeah. This is what we're going to start with. A little half moon. But I also have to take into account this little bump out right here. As you can see, boom, boom, boom. I must say this was my easiest fan shroud install to date with this car, and I think a lot is to be said about not doing anything crazy or super custom, or just get stuff that fits. But you can see the brackets are welded on. Not the best, but it matches my Summit radiator. I just have the hardware that came in it just to hold it on. But yeah, got the seal this side's all bolted down. It's not bad. Around the pump here, just gotta put it in the car. I still have to take this back off because I want to run the plug for the fans like out the side here. You could pull these back and do it that way, but I like it nice and hidden. It looks good when I did it that way. So we're gonna put this in the car. So I have to fit my overflow on this, and I still have to figure out where to put a catch can. So we're gonna put this in the car for now. It's probably much heavier. Whew, that definitely took up some space. You know, it looks like you have a ton of room in a Fox body with a tube front, but once you start adding stuff, I was kind of nervous about this, but seems like I got pretty lucky. Yeah. Well, yep. It's getting very clustered. That would work. And I still have to figure out where to put a catch can. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. We got a lot, you know, I still have to add an AC condenser. Still got to add a receiver dryer, all the hoses. You know, I just had these are my old catch can hoses, but. And this radiator is supposed to be back like here. Like I have this bar, if you guys remember, this bar is supposed to be about here. Interior's a wreck. Got the dashboard out. But the upside is this takes like an hour for me now, if that. I don't even think it took an hour. And it took a little bit longer because my whole engine harness and all that crap was shoved up under this dash because I was doing the carpet and all that nonsense. But what I'm going to do with this out is I'm going to throw some Port 15 on this stuff. You see a little bit of rust on some things. And I'm going to heat barrier the rest of the firewall. Now the main reason it had to come out was because when I was taking the car apart, I broke my heater core fitting. If you remember, I had AN hoses, alright, because I brazed on some threaded bungs, but I broke that one. So yeah, we had to replace that. But since it's out, I'm going to make a nice carbon fiber plate to cover this, because I welded this shut at one time, so it's been kind of ugly. You know, I welded the AC shut thinking I was never going to use it, so it's ugly. So we're going to take a piece of carbon, go over that, do the heat barrier, right? I'm going to do the heat barrier, hook up my throttle cable, because now it's, damn, that bitch is tight. Super easy to do right there. Wire in the air conditioning. Fix the ignition switch so I can start the car with a key instead of a button like a race car. When I wired it last year, the ignition switch died on me, and I'm like, this is dumb, and I didn't feel like getting another one. And we are also rewiring the arc panel, my arc switch panel, to be key power on instead of battery power on. Because I always have to turn the battery off because it was wired to battery power on. Put in aluminum. I had this, it was sitting on the shelf. And if you can see, I've already cut the ends off. And we're going to put some, I'm going to weld some -10 fittings on, right? Ta-da! And what I've done is I've taken, oh God, stop it. I've taken a 1/2-inch drill bit and I've opened it up in there so they slide on. Now the only thing I got to do before I do all this is I got to try to put some flats in this round part. So I'm just going to take it to the sander until I can get a wrench to fit around it so I can actually tighten my fitting down on it. Oh, I got heater boxes everywhere here. I've been everywhere, man. So this is the old heater box out of this car where I deleted the AC and the box has been cut for the drain. This one I went out and bought from a local Facebook Fox body guy. The other one is going in the convertible because the convertible is not getting air conditioning. I don't care what she says. She doesn't need it. It's a convertible and a summer only car. So I got to put some flats into these -10s. And then once there's flats in it, I can weld them on, put this back in the box, I also got repopped firewall pieces. Alright, and then drain. These are from LMR. Daniel Carpenter Mustang Restoration Parts off LMR. Love LMR. So my piece of carbon, since these are nice and new, my piece of carbon will be like this. Right? And a nice plaque will show. But it's mainly to cover up my butcherness on the firewall. I'm stupid. Got ahead of myself. So, goddamn. But I did notice that a lot of people were saying that the brass, copper, whatever this heater core is made of, is definitely more efficient than, and I'm like, I don't see why. You know, it's a heater core. Well, god damn this thing. When you hold these two together, you can see why. Right, it looks like all you see is the end plates. As you can see why, these are the end plates, but the actual core is only this thick. You know, it's not any thicker. And I mean, look at the size of this. It's way, way thicker. Great, I probably just punched a hole in it. Is it more efficient being a tube and fin or whatever design this is? I don't know, but people say this one works much better. Doesn't really matter to me, as it's not a winter car. Oh, that's nice. Some rusty water. It's not a winter car. Like it's a late fall, early spring car. Once it starts to hit 30s, low 40s, I'm done with it. Car's in the garage. Same thing in the spring. It doesn't come out until it's in the 40s. There's... You see the flats in it? I just got to make sure to weld them on correctly so I can access them with my wrench. So it'll be up and down, not side to side. Those all welded on. I tucked them in a little bit tighter, as you can see by the cushion. But here, this is the new cushion, obviously. I think there, that's how that says. There we go. And I quickly whipped this up, scratched it, of course I did. Slipped with the sander. So that's going to be a firewall. Right, and I was gonna rivet it on, but I think I'm gonna glue it on so it looks a whole lot cleaner than rivets. You know, I'll put a rivet in like each corner just to hold it so it doesn't ever come off, but I think I'm gonna panel bond it on and be done with it. Alright, that's kind of cool, because yeah, I welded that shut. If anybody remembers drag week, I don't know if this ended up in a video. I think I talked about it. This is a quick connect battery charger, and this was for my inverter. And my goal was to have this mounted up under the car, this piece. Anybody seen that? I got a bolt hole. I was gonna mount this under the frame rail so I can just reach under there and click it up. My inverter's good to go. Well, if you remember back to the videos, it didn't quite go that way. And I'll show you why. Yep. You already see what I'm getting at. I had it just taped in there because nobody had a 4-gauge crimper to crimp the new ends on. It sucked. I literally walked... Ow! God damn! I literally walked around the entire pits the first day asking if anyone had one. Nope. So we rigged it. Obviously it didn't stay locked together because it locks on those pins. But so we're gonna get this situated so I can crimp these, slide these in, and they're good to go, and then mount this under the car. Got that mounted all up. We'll consider this drag week prep. It's pretty much what this is. Like I explained before, it eluded me. The only thing I'm not so I mounted it here. I was originally going to mount it like under the frame rail here, but I have plans of adding a under trunk fuel cell eventually, and I want to try to run a factory filler, and that's going to involve either making a tube through this frame rail or something in this area. So I decided against that, and I mounted it back here on the back of the bulkhead. Worked out pretty well. The only thing that so I got the wires running through little grommet right there, right? But the one thing I don't like is I have to grind these down a little so that can be pushed further up. The problem is it's too loose on it, so I don't want to, maybe if I put like one washer behind this just to space it out a touch. And my GoPro light died. Damn, that thing sucks. Is to be able to pull up at the racetrack or at the hotel or whatever have you. Don't have to worry about popping the trunk, and I can just reach up under here. I got this piece. Oh, I might have to space that off. Oh God, might have to give it a little. I wonder if I could just turn it around. No, it actually fits that pretty good. And click that in, and then on the other side I have the inverter, and the inverter just lay on the ground and plug in whatever I need to plug in. It's just a lot of odds and ends in this video, what I have time for. Like, it's Friday night. I got like an hour to work on this, so it's just small stuff, odds and ends. Tomorrow I have to go help Scotty Wheels unload his race car from the trailer. So I'm going to go do that in the morning and come back and work on the car. And tomorrow we're going to work on getting the roll cage painted and dashboard maybe back in, depending on when that paint dries, and at least the heater boxes and all that stuff. So that'll be recorded tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So I know it's not the most interesting stuff, but this is what it is right now. I'm down to the final itsy bitsy pieces that don't require a ton of stuff to go on. It's a ton of odds and ends. That's what we got going on. I hope I'm keeping you guys interested enough. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to figure out this giveaway. I'm going to announce that coming up. I'm going to do a separate video for that, and we'll announce all that. So don't think I made my 7,000, now I'm bailing. But no, this flange is here. It is sitting here waiting for someone. All right. So get in your garage, grab a cold drink, get to work on your hot rod. Have a good night, guys.